Hello and welcome to another Sunday Superversive live stream. I am your host Benjamin Wheeler, and I'm here with my co-host Anthony Marquetta, who, as he has was in the middle of explaining to me, is delightfully moist. His skin is absolutely pliant and entirely healthy. Is this true, Anthony? Is your skin moist and pliant and healthy?
Fun fact, scientists consider me human.
Ah, fantastic. I am also human, and I would like to promise that I will remain so, as is the cultural norm on Earth. Uh, so, here's what we got today. We're going to be talking about anime because, honestly, we're all pretty tired. And I've been sick. I was sick last week, and Anthony lost his voice, and it's just kind of a lot. But we'll be riding those bikes again soon. Uh, don't you worry. But Anthony, how is?
Literally.
I don't know how to ride a bike, Anthony.
You don't do you actually not?
Yep, it's true.
That's
Because,
so sad.
but I lived in the inner city, Anthony. I lived in the inner city. That would just be me riding a bike just to get it stolen.
That's true. It's not hard. You should learn.
Every
And
time I learn, misfortune hits me. I don't know
this is
why.
true. So, we are here to discuss the new season of anime. Uh Now I have mentioned this to Ben and people who have listened to the show, so both of you, thank you for listening. Uh should know that I've mentioned a few times that though I have not been watching anime, it is not due to any sort of uh stance. You know, I'm not taking any sort of moral stance against anime. Uh, I don't have a moral stance against anime. I think that some shows are problems and should be avoided, and some aren't and are good to watch and wholesome. So I like those. And some aren't wholesome but have many good qualities and are worth watching if you are not tempted to sin through watching them, just like any other media. The reason that I have not been watching anime is quite simply because I have been busy and there have been other things taking my attention. And anime is a bit of a time sink, if I want to pay attention to it. But there have been many, many good shows that have come out actually that have been interesting enough for me to want to pay attention to. In past seasons, Beastars season 2, I never ended up finishing. Odd Taxi, I didn't end up finishing. Kaguya-sama season 2, I heard was excellent. Lots and lots of things. What is your thoughts, Ben?
Uh, uh. So this season's pretty nice. Chainsaw Man has been very entertaining so far, and a few other things as well. However, I'm more excited about the new manga that's coming out through Shonen Jump, as well as just kind of like the potential running around. Because one of the things that is pretty clear here is that the quality of show and animation and so on has gone up, and in a very good way, without like going crazy on any of the stuff like it did in the past. Because
Shockingly, actually, because I know that in our, I guess in the groups we hang out in, there's a general sense of everything's getting worse, and I know that that is the sense nowadays. In that, like among some of those people, that anime is also like this, but I don't really agree. I actually agree with you. Anime's been getting better.
yeah, like don't get us wrong, like the quality of show is still pretty out there.
There's more bad than good, certainly.
Yeah, and it's but the thing is that like how do I want to put it? Um, the bad that's out there doesn't feel as bad as it has in previous seasons. Like there have been some years I think 2013 or so, 2015. that it's like I can't remember anything there. I'm sure if I researched it, I'd find like some good anime running around there, but like it's bad. But then it's like you remember years like 2008, 2012, 2016, every 4 years or so. In fact, no, not really. Like 2020 was a good year as well before the before the unnamed series of events, and just a few other things out there that just kind of um, uh, that just kind of like really stand out in the imagination, not counting, the 80s and like 1996, which were also very good years. So this has been a pretty good year for anime, and a lot of techniques out there just seem to have just kind of improved. Like the CGI is tolerable. Like how often would we have expected CGI to be tolerable? Certainly not me. In fact, um, I count most CGI to be intolerable and a way to for the studio to save money, as Camboli has said in a recent video. However,
Yep.
I think that's finally changing up, where they're learning how to use it in moderation with, to focus the Sakuga onto things that actually matter, and then using the CGI just to make it a little better, give it a little something something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Studio Orange was really the studio that figured out how to make CGI look good,
Yeah,
like genuinely good. And now we're finally reaching the point where CGI is just kind of not as big of a problem. I know that when the trailer for the Trigun, it seems like it might be a sequel, maybe a remake. It's hard to tell. The new Trigun show came out. A lot of the people in our circle were really negative over it, saying like, "Oh, this is a great example of why CGI is just inferior to traditional animation." But I'm not really sure I agree. I think it's just that it wasn't great CGI. They
yeah,
didn't do a good job with it. Uh,
yeah. And like I
and
think there'll be market changes to support things that are just good CGI.
uh,
One hopes.
I agree. Now, in terms of the shows that are coming out now, so we have My Hero Academia season 6. Now, season 6 of Hero Aka is covering the war arc, which is the best arc of the manga, in my opinion. I think most fans would agree. Though I'm not sure if it's universal, but it's certainly a popular answer if you ask,
Yeah,
like, what's the best arc, and I think so. And I haven't watched any of it yet, but I do know people who have, and they say that they've done a great job with it, which is kind of relieving to hear because season 5 was terrible.
yeah,
Uh, I think the reason season 5 was bad is because it covered the My Villain Academia arc, and the My Villain Academia arc was very unpopular in Japan. It was very important and it was very popular in the States, but it was not a hit in Japan. More
yeah,
importantly than it being unpopular, it was controversial in Japan. Like, making the villains the heroes was seen, or, they weren't if you actually read it, but that was the thought process, right?
yeah,
Making them the main characters was seen as, like, should you be promoting these guys as the good guys or the heroes? And it didn't go, unlike in America where that sort of thing is kind of common to the point of being cliche and boring. That is not normal in Japan.
right.
So especially for like a wholesome shonen action series like Hero Aka. So I think they just tried to rush through that section, which is a shame because it's very, very important. I don't know if you remember this, but when we met, when we were in Chincoteague,
Yeah,
we talked to a family there. Not going to say who because I didn't get their permission to say any of this. But anyway, and they said, I stopped watching Hero Aka because the villains weren't good, and that's why the villain arc in My Hero Academia was really important because the person who said that was completely right up until the My Villain Academia arc, which totally changed the way that the villains like interacted with the narrative. It was a very
Yeah.
important storyline, and the anime just completely butchered it, which was a shame. But
Yep.
I have heard that they've done a really, really good job with this current arc. I also will say I liked the last movie a lot. Uh, like honestly, I was actually impressed with how good it was because I expected it to be kind of lame, and it was better than I expected.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that My Hero Academia has kind of pulled itself together, and I will probably get around to that when I have time. But there was one that you wanted to talk about, Ben, because we've talked about it on stream before.
Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw
Chainsaw Man.
Man.
Yeah, Chainsaw. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Uh, as you might imagine. Besides the heights that the manga is hitting pretty well right now, there's just kind of this pretty strong like victory lap it's taking with the manga. It cut out some of the fat from his work and really focus on the story. Like there's this battle with the muscle demon, who was taking over a kid, and it was like a dark reflection. This could be you, evil, sort of thing, and it did nothing for the story. Nothing for the story. Re. Uh,
Yeah, the anime adaptation has really been glorious. I haven't seen a single complaint about it. To be honest, everybody loves it, and we all kind of knew it would be this good. I
yeah,
think when we saw the trailer, everybody saw the writing on the wall. Uh, it's wonderful, and but as you've briefly referenced, by the way, the uh, the manga currently, like as of right now, is unbelievable.
yep, and
Like
it's
it is just as good as it's been at its peak.
yep, like yeah, it's one of those things where like it is genuinely one of the strongest IPs going around right now in Japan, and it's absolutely shocking because it's like it's not just like like One Piece or something like that, which is also absolutely amazing. They're in the middle of their Kaido fighting Kaido arc, but also just kind of in general, like it's just the quality is up. Even though there were some things that um, changed up. Like recently, there's been a lot of changes with what Shonen Jump's offering. Some shows, I think, some manga were cut before their time, especially Super Smartphone.
Super
Uh,
Smartphone was weird. It didn't look like it was cut. It looks like they transitioned it to like they were gonna complete it in I don't know, in volumes or something. It was odd.
Maybe it was selling pretty well in the tankobon, but I couldn't tell
Yeah.
you. Uh, but like right now, and I'm not sure if it's the same artist or a different one. There's I don't really want to talk about this quite yet, but there is a couple new things running around that I think is worth talking about, which we'll
So
do later.
there was that cipher
Also,
school
hold on a
thing.
second.
Yep.
Hello,
Go ahead.
Fiona Wolf. Time to blast more monsters. At least indie games gaming is supported. Conning is so fracking useless for books, etc. Yep, yep. Like I went to my relative, my uncle's house, and he is a very wealthy man. He got in during the boomer boom, and rode that golden parachute to the bottom. Uh, and it's a fantastic house. It's beautiful, genuinely. Not a single book in it. Uh, then she says, that one is making the rounds. Chainsaw Man, that is. It's not a show I'll go for. It's easier for me to find anime to like in comparison to the Cape scene of the US of A. Yeah, yeah. As it does tend to go in cycles. As uh, U.S. media goes down, anime's cachet will go up, so on and so forth. But I do want to focus on anime for now. Then we'll talk about manga. Okay, Anthony?
All right, that's fair.
Unless you're already done talking about anime, in which case, I got nothing for you except to say, get on my level.
Oh
Now,
no, there's still plenty to talk about. I have this season pulled up, so
I mean,
yeah, we'll
yeah,
talk about manga a little later.
like there's things out there that are pretty good. Spy X Family second season. I haven't really caught up on everything yet, but I have been enjoying what I have caught so far. The dog is the
Yeah,
best character in it. Uh,
who?
the dog, Bond.
Oh, Bond,
Yes.
Bond's hilarious. Spy Family, Spy Family is just fantastic. It's really really great. It's one of those things where everything is like it's not going to be one of my all-time favorite series. Like it's not going to rank up there with, Full Metal Alchemist or even probably not even Chainsaw Man, to be honest. Or like the best series that are out
Yeah.
there. But also it is going to be very hard for me to actually find any specific flaws in it
Yep.
because it executes exactly what it wants. Like it is exactly what it needs to be,
Yep.
and it executes it perfectly. Like there is no decision so far that the manga, or for that matter, the anime has made that I would say was the wrong decision.
Yep. Like even
It's just a really creative series.
yep. And even like I read ahead a bit to what's freely available on Shonen Jump's website. Like it's still maintaining a certain amount of understandability across like the timeline. So it's like the premises don't change uh,
Yep.
even when they could.
Yeah, I'm caught up currently on the manga and the current arc. Like, honestly, there's no arc that I'm not looking forward to. I am looking forward to the best chapter in the manga, which is the chapter where Anya's friend Becky decides that she's going to seduce Lloyd, which is one of the funniest things I may have ever read. Uh,
Ooh.
I know. Spy. I will say this: Spy Family has a knack of taking ideas that in other anime I would hate and doing them so well that I actually like it. Like yours brother, Yuri, is a great example of this. Right? Her
Right.
weirdly incestuous older brother. In almost any other show, I would hate a character like that. But in Spy Family, i- it's executed perfectly. Like with the exact right amount of, I don't know how to put it, weirdness, where it recognizes that it's weird and it allows you to laugh at that.
Right.
And you're not supposed to think like that Yuri is a normal person.
Right. He's a member of the secret police. He's clearly psychotic as a start, not just as like there's a certain level of weirdness about him that is beyond just the stuff we've mentioned now.
Say that what I mentioned about Becky, like that whole chapter, is a similar vibe where it's like, I could imagine a bad manga doing this arc so horribly, like making it really gross.
Yep.
But Spy Family makes it really, really funny.
Yep.
Like the joke is that she has a crush on Lloyd, obviously. And Anya originally is like, "Oh, I don't like that." But then she reads her mind and realizes that Becky is actually really rich and and has private chefs. So she starts to support her pursuit of Lloyd so that she can get private chefs, which is really funny. And then at one point in the story, Becky decides, based on like a soap opera that she's watching, that the way to seduce Lloyd is to intentionally swoon so Lloyd catches her. And Yor, who is sitting at the table with them when this happens, sees her pretend faint and freaks out, thinking that she accidentally gave her like alcohol or something, and starts running her to the hospital. It is It's just one of the funniest things I've ever read, and in a bad manga, that could have been so disgusting.
Yep.
Like the worst thing for them to do would be to have Lloyd be like sympathetic or Anya be sympathetic or to her having a crush on him, right? Or like have
Right.
them be like, well, I'm just a little too old for you or whatever. But that's not what they do, right? They treat it like exactly what it is. She's a dumb kid. You know, she just has a crush on her friend's cute father, right? Like she'll probably be embarrassed about this in 5 years.
Right. It's not given the treatment, we'll say, that
It's
we've come
typical
to
in anime.
expect. And that's something I'm seeing just a little bit more of, where it's like it seems that some of the stuff that we've been suffering through is in less things that are considered the top tier. Um,
Yeah, I agree actually. Uh Chainsaw Man is a really good example. Now, the like I'm trying to think of how to put it. Chainsaw Man, we've had the discussion about the show before, right? Like
yeah,
I would consider Chainsaw Man superversive. But in a really interesting way. Like it is superversive, but it is very, very dark.
right,
And I appreciate those sorts of stories. I'm glad that it's doing that.
right. There's a
Now,
certain level of seriousness and more that kind of makes it feel better than it could be.
yep, yep, exactly. I appreciate Chainsaw Man for existing, honestly. Like, it's such a weird, singular series. I'm glad that it got big,
Yes.
right? And I'm not necessarily surprised that it did. It deserved to,
Yep.
but I'm glad that it did.
Yep. And it's like the one I'm talking about more is like what's culturally relevant isn't the latest cute girls doing cute things or some sort of etchy show that honestly we've seen live and die so many times. We might as well exercise the anime studio or something. It's it's I don't know. It just feels better, and even though we're not like super on top of everything, some of the stuff that we're sort of seeing in here uh, can be safely ignored without losing out on the cultural needs. Other things like Redolent of a Hero, which does um, trade on some horrible stuff, uh, is like flash in the pan and it's already forgotten. And it will remain forgotten, which is just a nice thing to sort of thing. Nobody talks about it. Even though Isekai is still decently strong, it doesn't feel like it's the force of nature that it was a little while ago. And hopefully it
Uh,
stays like that.
yep, I agree. I agree with you.
Like certain things are
So,
still there, but it's not as it's not like it's like oh this is only thing everyone's talking about.
exactly. Uh, I do think too that isekai are we've reached like the postmodern state of isekai where they're trying to get a little bit more creative with it. Uh, you know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
trying to do things like, the villain is an isekai, everything has a gimmick or something.
right.
Traditional
Which
isekai aren't cutting it anymore.
yeah, and it's like the stuff with the villainous one that's been a thing since somewhere around high school. Like I remember reading this exact premise with pretty much this exact stuff in high school. Like it's like how like um, Sword Art Online was a thing on the light novel forums. for years before it ever got an anime. Like they're scraping up the bottom of the barrel for anything that has like cashier quality. If we if I see a I'm gay but I'm in a hero world with a harem and it sucks. I'm going to riot, Anthony. They stole my idea. They stole my idea, and I deserve to be
Oh,
at least paid 10 cents a word.
10 cents a word. Getting a little
Tens.
greedy there.
No, I'm
Uh,
not.
no, yeah, I agree with you. There's good things like, and there's a lot of good sequels that are coming out now as well. Mob Psycho season 3, and we mentioned My Hero Academia. Mob
Yep.
Psycho season 3 is coming out. I don't actually know much about it except that it looks good, but I absolutely loved Mob Psycho season 2 and season 1 for that matter.
It does. It so like I haven't really watched it, but it has looked absolutely amazing.
Mob Psycho is honestly one of how about I'll start with this. I think that one, the creator, is a genius. Like legitimately, I think he's probably one of the all-time great creators. He understands like what subversion should be used for, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Like he knows that when you are subverting expectations, you're not subverting morals. You're not subverting you're not subverting like the moral order. What you're subverting is how people expect the story to go, so you could
Yep.
surprise them. Chainsaw Man is also quite good at this, by the way. But
Yep.
one is the best.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, he does shocking things all the time that are always extremely well done as a storytelling technique.
Yep. It's like it's one of those things where it's like it's simple but it's also brilliant.
Exactly. The big one, the one that everybody who knows Mob Psycho will probably even know what I'm going to say because it's such a good moment, is the Body Improvement Club.
Yep.
Seen in the original season and the early chapters of Mob Psycho. Anybody who likes Mob Psycho, almost to a man, will tell you that that was the moment that like it became one of their favorites.
Yep.
And that was true with me as well. That is how you subvert expectations properly. Because in a typical anime, in a typical manga, he joins the Psychic Club, right?
Yep.
But joining the Body Improvement Club is such a smarter choice in so many ways that it's kind of hard not to be impressed by.
And,
Just the storytelling chops. You know
yep.
what I mean?
And then later
It's
on,
such
when he
a
does
genius
stuff
idea.
like that, it feels like it's more the needs of what's going on around him, rather than some sort of weird story contrivance. Which
Yep.
at this point we're a little tired of, I guess. I guess.
Yeah, One Punch Man does this as well, but I think Mob Psycho is even better at it. Uh, don't get me wrong, not that One Punch Man isn't good, but it's like you said, the thing about One Punch Man is that it kind of said everything that important that it needed to say already, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not to say that what's going on isn't good. It actually is quite good. Like, I'm glad it exists, even in
Yeah.
the manga. Like, the storyline in the manga is quite good, but at the same time, it's like, you're not telling me anything new,
Yeah.
right?
And
I feel like, go
yeah.
ahead.
And I think part of that is that part of the reason why it was redone by the guy who did Eye Shield, um, what you call it.
Actually, 21.
Thank you. Because it's like, okay, we've said everything, we've done everything. Now all that's left is to make it awesome. Give it some real artistic chops, which is lacking from the manga. Um, and I think that's something important. Like it doesn't matter how good you say something if it's not said all that great, then you might have issues spreading around the ideas. And while one certainly wasn't ugly or anything like that, it wasn't timeless. It looked like somebody's kind of first draft of an idea. And even though he was able to communicate those ideas very well in a stylistic way, that's not the same as what some people look for. Ugliness
Yeah, I
does
mean,
keep out customers.
if we're being honest, the original web version of One Punch Man is ugly. Like, I'm
Yep.
not really going to excuse it, you know.
Yeah.
And I think one knows that, right? I don't think he's hiding. Yeah. Now, the original, the one version of Mob Psycho, is better, but it still doesn't look very good. Which is why Bones' adaptation of Mob Psycho 100 is one of the all-time great adaptations, uh, because it is an improvement on the original style in every way, while
Yep.
still looking recognizably like the original style. Uh,
Yep. Which is
it
important.
it's yeah, it's honestly a masterful adaptation. Like it's really really impressive. But Mob Psycho. Yeah, Mob Psycho had some of my favorite moments. So did One Punch Man. The thing about One Punch Man though is that like I always go back to the Deep Sea King arc in One Punch Man. Right? Like the Deep Sea King arc is legitimately one of my favorite storylines in any anime ever.
Yeah.
The problem is, after the Deep Sea King arc, I felt sort of like it sort of felt like One Punch Man was over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, all right, so that was the story. It was great. I loved it. And then it kept going. And it kept going with some great stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like the fight with what's his name? Boros, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the Boros fight is probably the greatest animated fight scene ever made. Uh, the animation, at least theatrical or for television, not theatrically animated, right? It's just
Yep.
like a feast of animation, and
Oh
there are
yeah.
some very good jokes, but it's no longer telling me anything new.
Yeah.
Like after the Deep Sea King arc, it felt like the show said everything it needed to say. It got serious for kind of the first time in the show's run. It said something really profound and meaningful. You know, uh, it gave some closure, kind of, to Saitama's arc. It wasn't total closure. There was enough there that Saitama could keep going, but it gave me enough closure that if that had been the final story arc, I wouldn't have been surprised. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
now I don't get that impression so much with Mob Psycho. Mob Psycho is still kind of there's still a lot to go here in season 3. Yeah.
Right. And
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm looking up this. I mean to be looking up the season, and it's loading slowly. Because when I went off the page, it needed to reload. Because my computer's not very
Yep.
good. Okay. Uh, let's see. There's the new JoJo's Stone Ocean Part 3, which I believe is the final part. I have
That
only
is.
seen part 1.
So yeah, part two came out to no fanfare. I don't know why Netflix is strangling that show in the crib when it's JoJo. But whatever. Like I was shocked when like I looked over at uh my how do I want to put it? When I looked over my High Seas website and discovered that the dub and sub had been released, and I just hadn't noticed it. It's like this is JoJo. What do you mean I didn't notice it?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's not like part 1 wasn't great. It was.
Yeah,
I really, it's part 6, part 1. Gets really confusing with JoJo. Part 6, part 1. Stone Ocean, part 1.
yep,
Right? It's not like it wasn't great. It was. I really enjoyed it. Honestly, it probably had, like, my second favorite OP.
yeah,
I loved it. Uh, Yeah, Havocbringer says the Netflix format killed the hype for Stone Ocean and its potential impact. Really a shame because they came out with a real good anime. Uh, and I am interested in seeing part three because I want to see them animate the ending and see like what they do with the ending.
Yep.
Uh, because the ending of part three is one of my favorites. Here's something: there's a new Lupin movie coming out called Lupin Zero, that is about his backstory.
Ooh.
That actually looks kind of interesting. Lupin the Third, a bored junior high schooler in Tokyo, takes an interest in a young Daisuke Jijin. Lupin the Third strikes up a conversation with Jijin at a nightclub. However, during their talk, Jijin concludes that Lupin the Third is simply a privileged and naive boy from a well-to-do family, doesn't want anything to do with him. However, while helping the nightclub singer Yoko, who is being pursued by the Yakuza, Jijin learns that Lupin the Third is a descendant of the legendary thief. Okay, that could be good. I'll have to keep an eye on it. What's your thought?
Sounds all right. Can't say it doesn't. It doesn't look bad. Excuse me. It doesn't sound bad or anything. Doesn't.
I watched the CGI Lupin the Third the First, uh,
Yeah.
and it was good and it looked great. Like I do want to emphasize the CGI was great, but the story was literally Castle of Cagliostro. Like that was the story. Every
Yeah.
beat of Castle of Cagliostro was in Lupin the Third the First. It went beyond callback to like basically being a ripoff of Cagliostro.
That's
Now,
unfortunate.
it's unfortunate. The flip side of this is that if you're gonna rip off a movie, Cagliostro's a good one to rip off.
Right.
Uh,
If you're gonna
so it
rip
was an
off anyone,
entertaining
rip off
film,
the master. You know.
right? So it was an entertaining film. Don't get me wrong, and it looked beautiful. Like the CGI was amazing, but it was also like if you're gonna watch one of those movies, watch Cagliostro. It's still better. Like it was honestly, it felt a little bizarre at times just how much it felt like Cagliostro. Like so much of it was like one for one.
Excuse me.
It's a shame because Lupin, there are some Lupin shows that I actually really love. Lupin the Third Part 4. Part 4 is amazing. Has some excellent, excellent episodes.
Yeah.
Uh, I still remember there was, I don't know how much of Part 4 you've seen.
None of it. I don't watch Lupin.
None of it, huh?
I
Interesting.
I like the idea of it. And I'll never say a bad word for it, but it just never gets to me. It's why
I
I
would,
like
if you're
support.
gonna start, yeah, if you're ever planning on getting started with it, besides the Miyazaki film, of course, which is great, and everybody knows that already, though. Uh, it's a Miyazaki film. But besides that, if you're going to get started with Lupin, I would recommend Part 4. It's a really good intro to the series. Uh, like, I'm trying to think of. So there was an episode of Part 4 that I remember watching it, and I was like, it's Lupin, it's probably entertaining. And the episode, like, blew me away with how good it was. Like, I was on the edge of my seat for the whole episode. Like, the plot of the episode involved, first, one of the things, I'll start with this. One of the things that made Part 4 so good is that Zenigata was great. Uh, I've tried to watch Part 2. I thought it was terrible. Uh, I'm sorry. Part 2 is I know is the most famous. It's the one that put Lupin on the map, and it's the Miyazaki one, right? Like it's the one
Yeah.
that Miyazaki had his grubby little hands all over, and I thought it was terrible. Just awful. Like I could not stand any of it. I thought it was corny. The writing was bad. The animation was bad. I just didn't like it. So I went to part 4 with like kind of lukewarm expectations because, like, I knew Lupin could be good. Cagliostro was great, so it's not as if there was no potential in a Lupin series. There obviously was, but at the same time, stuff that other Lupin fans considered to be like the peak of Lupin, I had thought were bad. So it's like I don't know what I'm going to make of this. And they had this one episode that involved like Zenigata having to defend this woman had who I believe her husband had just died, and it was implied that she might have killed him, though it's not sure. And she had some sort of treasure. Uh, and Zenigata knew that Lupin was going after the treasure, so he was tasked to take care of her. And in the story, like, it's revealed that Fujiko is in disguise as her, and they have all of this stuff. And there's this running theme at the beginning that she was originally like a prostitute, and then her husband took her in. And when she asks him why, the husband says, "I saw a woman crying and I helped. Isn't that a good enough reason?" So at the end of the story, this woman betrays Zenigata because she doesn't really trust him to like sell off the jewel or something to Lupin. But then, as it turns out, Lupin was going to trick her and steal it from her anyway, and Zenigata steps in and saves her. And when after Zenigata saves her, she goes to him, "Why did you save me?" And he says, "Well, I saw a woman crying and I stepped in. Isn't that enough?" And the episode ends with her saying that she's going to like sell off the jewel and use it to start like a battered woman shelter, basically. Uh, and I just remember watching that episode and being blown away at how good it was. I love seeing Zenigata actually be good at his job, which was one of the big problems with part two. Uh, it
Right.
was really bad in part two. Uh, I love the animation style. I thought that the story was actually really clever. So, if you're ever going to watch Lupin, part four, really, really good. I wouldn't call myself a connoisseur of the series, but good.
Sure.
What else is there to look at? Let's see. Some of the movies, besides that Lupin movie, there's A Turtle Shell is a Human's Ribs. I don't know a thing about it. I just had to look it up because of the name.
Yeah, it's a
And to
pretty
be
amazing
honest,
name.
it is an amazing name, but it looks kind of boring. Havoc Bringer says, "I love parts 4 and 5. Yeah, I saw one episode of part 5. I found it to be pretty good. Uh, he says, "My memory is a bit hazy about both, but I preferred part 5. Enjoyed the main plot with the app that scans the person in front of you and tells you key information about them." I only watched like the first couple of episodes of part 5, and what I found, I did find the original conceit of part 5 to be pretty funny. Lupin, like, I think what happens is Lupin becomes famous as a thief, so everybody starts trying to catch him. So he runs off to a country that's out of Interpol jurisdiction to lay low for a bit. And I tell him, like, "This is terrible. Like, you got to do something to make people not interested." He goes, "Wait a minute, I know what to do." And Lupin ends up getting rid of the mystique around him by going around and meeting with, like, fans and just, like, taking selfies with them. So
Wow.
then it's just like, and now there's no mystique about me anymore, so nobody will care if they see me. You know. I thought that was a pretty clever idea. Uh, so that's all I remember about part 5, though. I didn't end up finishing it. I don't even think I finished part 4 technically. But yeah, it was like, don't get me wrong though, it was good. I'm sure I would have liked it if I continued it. But anyway, unfortunately, A Turtle Shell is Human Ribs looks rather boring. It's just like a high school student becomes friends, and then and that's it. And then there's a student council election, and the title is just like symbolic of something that they were talking about. What a shame.
That is a shame. You'd
There was so
expect
much
this.
potential.
You'd expect there to be some sort of like thing about like turtles or something. I don't know. Like it's like
But
one of those things where I'm sure this is poetic for the Japanese audience, but for dear sweet Americans like ourselves, it doesn't feel like it means anything. Like, what are we supposed to do with that? Like, it's a reference. It's like when people go like, well, you see, Kill la Kill's super deep, because it references something something Showa era, something something Japan's history, and it's like, but I don't know any of that. Like, what am I supposed to do with that information? Like, it's like, yes, it's referencing the haiku by Oda Nobunaga on the eve of him being gutted by somebody, and then it turns out he was never actually gutted by them because he was saved. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get why this is important to you. Like, there's a cultural reference no one's explaining. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. You know, I dig cultural references. I read Arabian Nights for fun and crap, but, like, sometimes it's just too much, and I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yes, but on the other hand, you're missing out on like half the experience of Kill la Kill then.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It never comes up again.
No, I mean obscure cultural Japanese references. That's like half of Kill la Kill. But
It
okay.
isn't. It isn't. They
I
don't
don't
talk
know.
about that stuff again, though. Like, it's like, yeah, maybe if it ever was brought up again or something silly like that, but it's not brought up again. It just isn't. Like, we understand it from the context of the show itself.
Let's see. I'm looking. Okay, so I'm looking at other stuff. I have nothing to add about this. I like Kill la Kill, though. I'll give it that.
I mean, I like
Uh,
Kill la Kill as well. Like, I want to be clear.
yeah.
But, like, so when people make, like, super big pronunciations about, like, what the meaning of something something that Sasuke's doing or whatever, it's just like, but it was clear in context that she was consolidating her power. I don't understand why this is a big deal. You know, to be treated like it's some sort of big artistic choice. Like, it just feels fake. It just feels like fakery. It's fake and gay, Anthony. Fake
All right.
and
So
gay.
hold on. I just want to tell you this is one a movie, and it does not have an English translation. So I apologize to anybody who knows Japanese for the butchering I am about to do. Kimi wo ai shida hidori no boku e. So, and this is the plot. A boy who lives with his father after his parents' divorce meets a girl. They begin a relationship, blossoming into love. Alright, so far so good. I don't hate romances. The idea of the idea of romance has slowly grown on me as I've gotten older, right? So
Right.
I don't hate that so far. But everything changes when their parents decide to marry each other. Okay. I'm pretty sure this was the plot of a Ghibli film, but let's keep going. And they decide to move to a parallel world where they are not step siblings.
But
See,
they're just
the reason that is interesting to me is that in the Ghibli film, which is from Up on Poppy Hill, they did not move to a parallel world. They just decided to continue the relationship anyway.
yeah, because like step siblings isn't incestuous.
They already, yeah, it's this is what's weird to me. Like they already had a relationship, obviously.
Right.
So it's not like they're forming the relationship after becoming siblings.
Right.
Therefore, not to be too Japanese, maybe I'm getting too influenced by Japanese media, but what's the problem?
Yeah.
I don't really get why you need to skip town to a parallel world. You
Yeah.
know, from Up on Poppy Hill already did this plot.
Yeah.
Let's see, there's a movie, Break of Dawn. It's the year 2038. Yuma Sawatari is a typical space-loving elementary school student. His parents buy him a robot named Nanako, and he is thrilled, but then he gets disappointed when he discovers it's a housekeeping robot. Or is it? When Nanako's system crashes, something incredible happens. It's taken over by an entity claiming to be a marooned alien spaceship that needs Yuma's help to return to space. That's just E.T.
Yep. It's the machine devils, Anthony. It's the machine AI demons that I've been talking about. And the reason why I will go on a rampage if AI writing is ever taken more seriously than human writing. I will.
So, fun fact: Roald Dahl wrote a horror short story about this years ago, called "The Great Automatic Grammatizator." Uh, and in his story, somebody invents a machine that can like first it only writes short stories, and then it writes novels, and then his publishing company starts buying out authors after he convinces them that he can write better novels than they can. And the story ends with like 50% of the publishing company of all books that are being published are actually written by this machine, and the main character is trying to hold out, but they've offered him a good deal, and he has like five starving children, and they said his hand keeps inching closer to the pen to sign away the rights.
Wow,
Good story. Uh,
amazing.
glimpse of our future.
I will follow dear Uncle Ted, uh, before I see that future come to reality. I am a creature of anger, and I am not going to take this lying down. It's disgusting. Like it's whatever. This isn't what this isn't what this show is about. But point is that I am disgusted by it and will not tolerate it. And if I ever discover you or Ken have been using AI to write the Pinkertons ghost stories, I will think of something drastic to do that I will not say online. It will be bad, Anthony. I'm just gonna tell you this right now. I might take a crap on somebody's front lawn or something. I don't know. I don't know what I do, but it's going to be up there, Anthony.
Here is something to actually pay attention to. That's a movie, and I get you. By the way, uh, I grok what you're trying to sell here.
Good.
Anyway, here's something that might be worth following. Suzume no Tojimari. Now, this is not something you have heard of. It's a movie, but you should have heard of it, and I will explain why in a moment. The story follows Suzume, a 17-year-old girl from a quiet Kyushu town who meets a young man looking for a door. They find a door within ruins in the mountain, and Suzume opens it. Soon, more doors begin to open around Japan, bringing disasters from the other side.
Okay.
First, I like the premise.
It's a great
Second,
premise.
who do you think is the director? I bet you'll be able to guess.
I don't think it's Takahata. No, not Takahata. Oh my goodness.
He's dead, sadly.
I know. I'm trying to think of the guy who did, um, uh, who did, The Night Is Long, Walk On Girl.
That's a good guess, and I know who you're talking about, but no, not him.
Really?
However, it's somebody you definitely know and whose work you like.
It's not Miyazaki, is it?
No, his next movie is going to be called How Do You Live? And when it comes out, I will be pirating it on opening day.
Yeah,
What?
me too.
Who said
But
that? I didn't say that. That's illegal. Anyway,
that's how dare anyone suggest an Anthony Pirates movie? That's disgusting.
no, that's terrible.
Absolutely fake. Fake and gay, as the kids say.
Yes. Uh, Spoil it, or you want to take another guess?
No, just spoil it for me, Anthony.
It's Makoto Shinkai.
Oh, nice. You see, I don't
Yeah,
know. I've
and
been cool on him for a while, but that does sound like pretty cool.
well, Your Name was great. I loved it. I have not seen his last movie, but I heard it was good. So, I have no reason to think it wasn't good. And this is a really good premise that seems like the sort of thing that he would do well.
Yes.
So, I
Because
am curious.
he's done movies where it's been like kind of like that, I guess we'll say. But I'm not sure. Uh, I don't know. It's just like one of those things. It's like um, Garden of Memories I wasn't really a fan. Uh, like it's just kind of I don't know. I'm kind of interested, but I'm also not interested.
You want to know something? Garden of Words had a boring premise.
It
It
did.
was quite well made, but it
Oh,
had a boring premise.
oh yeah. Like it's kind of like some of those French films. It's like yeah, it's a thing. You know, it's gonna be a thing, but it's kind of boring. And then there was this one movie that was very Ghibli, but it was like kind of too Ghibli,
Yeah, I know
uncomfortable.
what you're talking about.
And but the
This,
thing,
I will say, does not sound boring.
right? Okay. I mean, sure, I'll accept that. Is it?
Uh, let's see. Yeah, I'm curious. I'll probably take a look at it when it comes out. Seems like it's been getting okay reviews. There's a new Sword Art Online movie somehow.
Somehow
Like,
it
how
makes
is this still a thing?
money, but like I'm disgusted that it makes money. I shouldn't be this angry about things.
Huh.
Back to work.
Lonely Castle in the Mirror. Okay. I'm gonna give you this premise, and I'm gonna say this could be either really good or terrible. In a neighborhood in Tokyo, 7 teenagers wake to find bedroom mirrors are shining. They're pulled from their lives to a wondrous castle, and blah blah blah. In this new sanctuary, they are confronted with a set of clues leading to a hidden room where one of them will be granted a wish. But if they don't leave the castle by 5 o'clock, they will be punished. As time passes, a devastating truth emerges. Only those brave enough to share their stories will be saved. So here's the thing. This is an A1 Pictures film. I know Digibro is infamous in his hatred of A1 Pictures, and he gave a good argument as to why.
Right.
However, I am going to note that A1 Pictures productions tend to vary wildly in terms of how good they are,
Yes.
based on who they happen to hire for the staff.
Yep.
So, let us Google this a little bit more. This could be very good or very bad. Who did they hire? Copy, paste. Da-da-da. An anime film directed by Keishi Hara. I vaguely recognize that name. What has he done? Huh. No, I don't recognize any of his stuff. That's interesting. I'm surprised. That's not a good sign, though. That's a pretty bad sign. I don't know any of the stuff he's worked on. But he did direct a Crayon Shinchan movie, which I've literally never heard of. But
Crayon
it did get
Shinchan?
critical praise. Yeah,
Ooh,
it did get critical praise, though, so for
critical
whatever that's worth.
praise.
Uh, okay, yeah, it's based on a light novel, it looks like. No, not even a light novel, just based on a novel, which is interesting. Very interesting, actually.
See, that's like it. Kind of like it's now interesting to me because it's like it's a novel. It's just a novel. Is it a light? No.
Yes,
Like it's a legitimate
exactly.
novel.
All right. I will pay attention to that. That goes on the list of see what people say about it, right? Like
Yep.
maybe it'll be good. That time I got reincarnated as a slime movie, that show wasn't even good. Uh,
I don't like it. It was a show that traded on its waifu bait pretty hard.
Yeah, I
No,
never liked it.
same.
I never liked it. I never bought the arguments by people who did like it. Just not a fan.
Yeah. And it's like the argument of XYZ subverts a genre. No, nobody cares. Isekai started out subverted. Like, like it wasn't subverted for like Escaflowne or something, but like it got subverted pretty quick, and then they just never moved on.
But to be honest, is Isekai as a medium peaked with Log Horizon, and I don't count Konosuba, which I also put in the S tier. But Konosuba is a parody of Isekai. It's
Yep,
not itself. Like I don't really consider it an Isekai. Like it technically is, but it's not.
yep,
Yeah, it's a parody.
yep.
It's a very good parody, a brilliant parody, in fact, one of the best parody ever made. But it's a parody. It's not itself an isekai. Isekai as a concept, and I mean in like the pure, when you think of isekai, you think of video game like premises, right? And that peaked as a concept with Log Horizon. Uh, and Log Horizon was a great show.
Yep,
Digibro made an argument for it, and his argument was correct because it's an excellent, excellent show.
it's an
I
enjoyable
loved
show.
it. Yeah, loved it. Season 3 was quite good, even though I never finished it. It was just one of those things. It was during that. It was right at the beginning of the period of time where my life got kind of too busy to spend time watching anime, but it was by no means because of lack of quality. You know, lots of interesting things going on in it. So since Log Horizon, I'm not sure if there's ever been anything that's even been close to that level. Uh, I consider Log Horizon the best isekai, the second best isekai to be the Saga of Tanya the Evil, and probably number 3 to be No Game No Life. And I'm not even sure if I like anything else. I
Yep,
mean, Escaflowne is technically an isekai, but it's it's an isekai in the old definition of the term, not in the modern, video gamey version that the genre's turned into, right?
yes.
Like it's almost a different genre. Uh,
I would consider it like the reason why I say that like isekai started out subverted is because you can say and mean it that 12th Kingdom, Escaflowne, others are isekai. You know, they are genuinely isekai. They match all the right
are
things.
yeah, by the definition, they are.
But the thing with them is that they aren't like they're genuine. 12th Kingdom is a genuine wuxia kind of adventure set in fantasy like Japan China thing. Escaflowne is medieval times with mechs and such like, and it's got all the different trappings of it. But what people don't get is that excuse me, I'm trying to think through my words here. Is that when Sword Art Online came out, it was a subversion of Escaflowne, but the subversion was so popular it founded the genre at the same time. You get me?
Yes.
So it's like there's this kind of pit with, that you have to get over with when people talk about isekai, and that is Sword Art Online and the stuff falling apart. Like you get like it like it is the way to both understand and hate on isekai. Yes.
Yes. Let's see. I mean, yeah, I don't have an argument, so I'm just kind of repeating. Yeah, that sounds right. Uh, it does sound right. Uh,
Yay! I'm right.
I agree with you. So let's see other movies. So they're continuing that new Legend of the Galactic Heroes in the production IG style. Production IG did Kuroko no Basket, so that sort of style.
Yeah.
So I actually did not hate the first anime full season of the new Legend of the Galactic Heroes, but when they introduced what's his name? One of Lohengram's generals, Reinhardt maybe?
Maybe.
When, what's his What's up?
Reinhardt's like the emperor.
Yeah,
The
he's Reinhard von Lohengram. I
yeah.
can't remember. He has two generals. One of them is Mittenmeyer, and the other I can't remember his name.
Is it his
But
friend
they
or not his friend?
not his friend.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about, but yeah, he's like kind of hot headed.
Little bit. He's so. I'm gonna look it up.
Don't worry about it.
Characters.
Literally, don't
Legend.
worry about it. There's 100 characters, please.
You are correct. Uh, the list is extremely long. Legend of the Galactic Heroes characters. Uh, whatever. Ruinthal, that's it. He's the first one on the list, though, so it was easy to find. Okay, so they introduced. I was kind of on board with the show, like I was enjoying it as a new adaptation, until they introduced Ruinthal, and Ruinthal in the original anime appears to be at least 40 years old, right? Like he looks to be a little bit older than the other characters. Like he's an experienced general, you know. And in the anime, they made him look like in the new anime, they made him look like this young Bishonen kid, and it was, and I'm like, that's Ruinthal. I'm like, that looks absolutely terrible. I hate it, and I
Right.
stopped watching.
There
It
is
was just, it was very bad.
yeah, there is such a thing as too much by shonen, I guess. Don't tell the fangirls.
Now, now I adore the story of Legend of the Galactic Heroes, despite the fact that I have not finished it. I've made it through like 100 episodes or something, but I have not finished it. Uh, However, I am a great admirer of Legend of the Galactic Heroes. That being said, if you're gonna watch it, just watch the original. Like,
Yeah,
it's not that it's out there. It's on High Dive now, I think. If you don't want to sail the seven seas for it, yeah.
yep,
Let's see. There is a new Tiger and Bunny. I know that Tiger and Bunny Part 2. I know that ER was a fan of the original, and I decided to give it a shot and then stopped watching it when I saw that the movie was actually a pro-gay movie.
ooh,
Like, that was the message of the movie, and then I said, never mind, no interest.
yep,
So, I don't know. Maybe Tiger and Bunny is good, but it's degenerate, and that's the sort of anime I don't support. Let's see. Uh, any other good stuff? Mentioned this before. Wait, there's a show called Duel Masters Win. Is this a new is this related to the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise?
mm,
I don't think it is. No, it's an unrelated thing that's just also called Duel Masters. Okay. Sure, why not?
I mean,
Let's,
it's a common. It's a surprisingly common name. UB's like it's
I
kind of like
guess.
battle something. Let's So we've talked about the anime enough. I guess we're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
I'm going through the list. So, yeah, all right. Want to talk about what we're looking at in manga currently?
Yep. So a bit of thing for it. Shonen Jump has been changing up a lot of how they do things, and it feels like the choices are in and out okay. Sometimes like you wonder about it. Like Red Hood was clearly rushed, but I'm seeing them advertising the the manga volume pretty hard in some of the things I'm seeing, and I might buy it just because I enjoyed the story quite a bit, even though the ending is kind of off the rails for some of this stuff. Um, so it's like yeah, sure, but they've been kind of unable to replace some of these things with winners. Um, like it's just kind of been like replacement after replacement. Some of them I don't really get it. Like Ruri Dragon hasn't had another chapter, even though I would think it would be popular. I guess I enjoyed every chapter, but it wasn't quite Shonen Jump. And I think that one got replaced by Glinka and Gluna, which is this sort of magical adventure, which is pretty fun. Very reminiscent of Fairy Tail when it was good, and as shocking as some people might find. Yes, Fairy Tail was once, in fact, very good. Sort of things like that. Uh, how do I want to put it? Like, it's just kind of a bit refreshing for some of this stuff. Others like Tokyo Bride Story, Tokyo Demon Bride Story, not great. I don't know why. Um, it
Let's see.
exists.
There was a new anime manga that came out that had an interesting premise, but in reading it, there was some stuff about it that were just kind of weird. Like, so it was a I forget what it's called, but it was about like a school for people who broke ciphers.
Cypher
Uh,
Academy.
yeah, and it was a cool idea, right? I like that concept, but there were two problems with it. The first problem is that the ciphers were all in Japanese, making it
Yep.
impossible for American readers to follow. Uh, I consider this just an unfortunate, like, there's literally nothing you could do about that, right? You know,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Like,
But even so, the manga itself might still be good. The second problem was the extremely bizarre choice to make the main character a boy who dresses like a girl and goes to an all girls cipher academy where they only admit girls. I have absolutely no idea why they decided to do this, and it added nothing.
yeah. Yeah, that was a little weird from my perspective, too. Like, sometimes, like, decisions are made and you're like, yeah, alright. But then it's like, but this one, they didn't need like a shonen pro tag or whatever, but they didn't have to do this, whatever this is. You know
It's
what I mean?
it was very odd. I wanted to like it, and honestly, I didn't really hate it. Like, it wasn't
Yeah,
badly made,
like,
but
yeah,
it was just such an odd choice that it's like I don't know how I'm gonna get around that.
it does have a little bit of oddity to it, but I don't think in a bad way. Um, I think it's got some interesting premises so far, and for the second real puzzle, like for some of them, like there is a lot of problem with like it's in Japanese, and it's after the 42 prefectures, and the equivalent would be, at someone doing a puzzle based on the 50 states and then doing it in English, you know, for a Japanese audience, which I think everyone would agree would just be like, huh? Eh?
Yeah, and I don't blame like the manga for that. That is what
Yeah,
it is. Like, it's made in Japan. It's clearly for the Japanese audience. I'm not the audience.
yeah,
Uh, and that's fine. I'm not meant to be.
yeah,
Yeah, Super Smartphone remains one of the most bizarre manga that I've ever read. Mostly because I thought it was going to be terrible, and it was surprisingly really good.
right.
Like, it continued to, if anything, get better as it went on. And I still think that the premise is just like really stupid.
Yep.
Like, it's such a dumb premise, but they executed it pretty much about as well as you could.
And it like but like thinking about it is that yeah it was great, but like they replaced it with like Cipher Academy and the Torahara or whatever it is family Yokuzara or something like that family secrets, which is okay. Like it's interesting, kind of. So it's like they replaced it with a bunch of mystery box manga, Hold on, let me pull up the Viz website. Let's see any chatties. Ho ho, hey hey. A lot of chatting here.
Oh, I missed it. Let me see.
Hey hey, Megabuster. Hey hey, Bradford. Glad to see you around. The way to fix a comment that's fantastic is the way to fix isekai is to refuse to tolerate loser fic. Escaflowne wasn't, Dunbine wasn't, Rayearth wasn't. I'm not familiar with those last two, but I do respect Rayearth. Fiona Wolf says, with 12 Kingdoms, at least Yoko got course corrected. She becomes the ruler she needed to be, and at least they didn't make all the men idiots. I swear there's a vending machine over Oberstein. Oh, this is a thing. Yep. I think yeah. So like, just going over the new Viz stuff. First off, there's more Hunter x Hunter chapters. Yay! Everyone's happy about those, and they're pretty good.
Following the Hunter Hunter manga, so I'm eh.
Eh. You know, Tokyo
I
Demon
liked
Bri-
Hunter Hunter, but there was something about it that never clicked with me the way it did with certain people. Uh,
Like, this is gonna sound
but
weird, but I just don't care about like Chimera Ant, and I know that's probably some sort of heresy, but it's like eh. Like
I sort of get it. The Hunter Hunter is a really odd show for me, like, cause I've seen, like Alexander has multiple videos, and I've seen people make arguments about it, like
um
on why it's brilliant and it's so great,
yeah
and I don't really have any issue with the arguments. Like, yeah, that seems to track.
yeah
That's a good argument. There's a lot of depth in the series, but it just did not connect with me. Uh, as well as it. Well, I won't say it's not like it didn't connect with me at all. I did watch the whole thing, but
right
it didn't connect with me as much as it did for certain people who became like super fans of it. And if you're one of those people, like, I do think you can probably justify, you know, your fandom, right? Like, it just
right
wasn't. It didn't hit for me. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is what Hunter x Hunter is for a lot of people. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood hit for me in that way, and Hunter x Hunter apparently hit for people in a similar way, and that's great. But I liked it. I didn't love it.
yeah, but the thing is that it's like one of those shows that continuously disappears and reappears. Um, so it's very much how should I say culturally relevant. Like, it is probably one of the more culturally relevant Shonen Jump properties that's still respectable. Up
I
there
mean,
with One
like,
Piece.
I liked Yu Yu Hakusho more, despite the fact that it is almost universally agreed that Yu Yu Hakusho was worse.
Yeah,
Uh, and that's probably true on an objective level. Like, I'm not interested in making the argument of like why Yu Yu Hakusho is actually the greatest
right.
ever made. I just enjoyed it more,
Yeah, that's all.
for whatever reason.
Yeah, and that's no
I
one's.
couldn't tell you why.
Yeah, and that's fine. Um, but the new chapters they're going into the Phantom Troops background, which is probably pretty important in and of itself.
So the thing about Hunter x Hunter is that Gon's story arc is closed, right?
Mostly.
Killua's is closed. Leorio's is mostly closed. I mean, like, he seems to, where can he really go? The only main character from the beginning of the series who still has an arc worth closing is Kurapika.
Right. Which is kind of happening now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like, they're putting more of an emphasis on Gon's father as well.
Yeah.
Uh, I've never really bought the arguments I've seen from certain people, like Alexander, that Gon's father isn't a horrible person.
Right.
Uh, I the argument is that he's sort of following like the Buddhist ideal, and that just makes me think that wow, Buddhism is actually more horrible than I originally gave it credit for. If it
Right,
says abandoning your child to run off in search of adventure is in any way acceptable.
right. And I
Uh,
this show
I'm not
has
sure if that's a correct interpretation of Buddhism, but if it is, that's pretty horrible.
it is my understanding that it's fairly the show is fairly Buddhist on the best of days. So you know, it's like I don't know. I'm trying to find the words for it while I'm being
It's Buddhist,
attacked by
like the philosophical backdrop of Hunter x Hunter is Buddhist, and
yes,
I appreciate that. I appreciate things that, for one thing, have an intelligible philosophical backdrop, right?
yes,
That you can name. So this is not a critique of Hunter x Hunter. Not to mention, you're allowed to use something as your philosophical backdrop without necessarily believing in it. Like,
yeah,
I could appreciate making a story with Buddhism as the backdrop of the story. Like, I can imagine writing that one day.
yeah,
Uh, with that said, if I'm supposed to use that to make the argument that what Gon's father did was in any way acceptable, like, I cannot agree with that.
right.
Like, what he did was horrible. Like, it was actually, I would go so far as to say, evil.
Him
Uh,
abandoning Gon and such.
yeah.
Yeah,
By the way, Cigar Chomping Penguin says, my brother in law would fight you to the death talking that kind of smack about Yu Yu Hakusho. What smack did I talk? I said it was great. I love it.
yeah.
I don't know. What, like, it's one of my favorite anime. I
Don't
have
listen to him. He's a
nothing bad to
penguin.
say about it.
When has a penguin ever had a good opinion about anime? Never, I tell you. Never.
I've gone so far as to say that I think that the final arc of Yu Yu Hakusho that is often criticized is actually quite good. The Demon King arc. One of my favorites. Just by the way, to go over something else Bradford said earlier that I'm going to mention. Uh, the way to fix isekai is to refuse to tolerate loser fic. So that's an interesting insight, but I'm going to nuance it slightly. I would consider Log Horizon to be, in one very real sense, loser fic. Like, but what makes one of the things I should say of several that makes Yu Yu or not Yu Yu Hakusho Log Horizon great was that Log Horizon was critical of its protagonist in the proper way. Like, it wasn't critical. Like, it didn't think that, for example, what's his name, the main character, Shiro, right? Shiro.
Yes.
Uh, I don't think that it took the position that Shiro was a bad person, or really that any of the main characters were bad people. However, Log Horizon was always open about the fact that the what made them so powerful in the world of the game was in one very real sense a flaw. So there is a great scene, one of my favorites, in season 2 of Log Horizon, where Shiro dies. And in the world of Log Horizon, you know that you can't actually die. If you die, you're revived. The in between place that they go is the real world, Earth, right?
Right.
And they sort of flash back on their life a little bit. And we learn that the reason that Shiro is so good at the game is essentially that when he was growing up, he was suicidal.
Yep.
Hold on a second. I am getting called away.
Yeah. What Anthony's saying is true. Um, and it's how do I want to put it? It's not a justification of Shiro's behavior. That he's as good as this that he didn't participate in society. Like, there's a certain amount of, yeah, society sucks. You know, lamos having opinions about how you dress and such. Disgusting. Humans, normies even. Um, but it's never portrayed in a positive light. In this,
Apologies, I'm back. But yes, you're right. You could keep going.
it's never portrayed in as a positive light. Ultimately, society is promoted pretty hard in Log Horizon, and it's promoted not through like active, hey buddy, you know, gotta get up, gotta get going. You know, gotta be nice to your nosy neighbors who are selling drugs or whatever. Um, Something dumb like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I think I saw a drug deal earlier, and it's like I left the city to escape this. It's just I don't know. What was
Yeah,
I
that's
talking about?
so. We were talking about Log Horizon and Loserfic.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you know, it's like you know, it doesn't mean I hide away from it. You know, instead I just kind of stand there and smile at them, because that's creepier. You know, like you can't not participate in society is the ultimate lesson in Log Horizon for a lot
And
of
I
this
think,
stuff.
yeah, I think that is one of the ultimate lessons of Log Horizon. It's also, once again, Log Horizon is an example of a show that has a particular philosophical background that I don't necessarily agree with, but I appreciate it having. Like,
Yeah,
Log Horizon is ultra libertarian,
yeah,
right? Like, the creator was actually arrested for tax evasion,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
really funny. And I also give, in a weird way, it kind of gives the series some edge because the creator practices what he preaches. But, uh, so Log Horizon's philosophy is ultra libertarian. I am not ultra libertarian. I don't put that value on right on freedom that libertarians do.
Right.
However, I appreciate that Log Horizon takes a stance. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it has a philosophical backdrop that it is working from. That's why one of the other great scenes is at the end of season 2, Shiro finally gets in contact with a woman who he used to be close with from years ago, and they have a conversation. And there's been this whole like melancholy backdrop to the season where the characters in Log Horizon realize that if they figure out how to get back to Earth, they're gonna have to leave the world of Log Horizon behind. And they sort of like make their peace with that, and it's very bittersweet. And there is this amazing moment at the end of the show where he's having a conversation with this girl. She's like, "Yeah, I got a son, but he's in the other world." Like, "Oh, so it's a shame you're gonna have to leave, like, and go back to see him." And then she's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And Shiro looks really confused and looks at her and goes, "What do you mean? What am I talking about? You're gonna have to leave, right?" He's like, "No, why would I need to leave? I just bring him here." And then Shiro thinks for a moment and he's like, "You know what? You're right. Like, who says we need to leave? It's like we could just create a portal and go back if we want to. It's like we can go back and forth however we want. We could do what we want to." He's like, "That's exactly right." And then they just kind of go like, "No, you know what? We're going to do everything that we want to do. We're going to have it all. We're going to be able to go back to Earth if we choose, and we're going to be able to stay if we choose, and we're going to be able to cross over at will because we can do whatever we want." It's kind of amazing. Uh, and it's a great view of like the libertarian ideal of absolute freedom, right?
Yep.
You don't need to give anything up. You can do it all. And that freedom is the ideal. Now, I don't think it's necessarily as realistic. There is something to the idea of like in life, sacrifice is necessary or whatever,
Yep.
right? But it is a great libertarian, it's a way of keeping to that libertarian point of view at the heart of Log Horizon. But
Yep.
let's see, in terms Shonen Jump currently, we'll switch back to the topic. I was responding to Bradford's comment, so
Yes.
we'll go back to our original topic. Uh, the current arc of Chainsaw Man has been very, very good.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
No thoughts, only chainsaw in the brain, and brain and membrane, insane in the brain. No, it's pretty good. It's 10 out of 10. Um, and it's one of those things that I just kind of appreciate that it just keeps going and it keeps going good. Uh,
One day I want to do a stream specifically on Fujimoto's 3 one-shots.
yeah,
They're worth like they are honestly all worth talking about on their own. Like they're all really good.
yeah.
Uh, and they've been excellent. But yeah, this new Chainsaw Man has just been incredibly entertaining. Uh, Fujimoto has kept up. You know, I mentioned that I thought that the best stat subversion, in the good sense, is one. But if one is the best at it, Fujimoto is number two, and it's been really really good stuff. Also, Fujimoto is absolutely amazing at revealing extremely important world shaking information in incredibly matter of fact ways. Like, I don't know how to describe it except that. Like, So, to people who don't know, currently, Fujimoto decided for this new arc of Chainsaw Man that he was basically going to, like, switch main characters. And it was probably a big risk when he came up with it, but it's been amazing. He just switched to this random girl who was bullied and then gets possessed by who was it, the War Devil?
The War Devil. Yeah.
Yeah, she gets possessed by the War Devil, and the War Devil decides that she wants to kill Chainsaw Man. Uh, so she befriends a popular girl,
Yep.
right? Like she's been bullied, and then she befriends a popular girl, and the popular girl reveals that now that she's become friends with her, she's upset at how people are treating her friend. So she made a deal with the Justice Devil, and she's going to kill all of her bullies.
So she isn't a popular girl. Just so
I
you
thought
know.
she was. I thought that
No,
was I thought that was the implication.
she's just not bullied. Like it's different.
Okay, I get you.
Because
I
it's
get
like
you.
she's pretty psychopathic actually. She is one crazy girl. But
Well, obviously, although they do sort of indicate at the end of this last chapter that she wasn't really psychopathic. It was sort of the Justice Devil getting into her brain.
also like she was already there. You know what I mean?
A little bit, but she shows some regret at the end of the last chapter. Uh,
Sure.
but there's this incredible scene. So the reveal that she's possessed by the Justice Devil, they're like having a conversation. Yuko, our main girl, and this other girl are having a discussion. And he just goes, "Hey, want to tell each other secrets?" He goes, "What's something embarrassing or like, from growing up?" And Yuko's just like, "What? I don't know. Like when I was in elementary school, I peed my pants." And then she goes, "Ha, yeah, that's super embarrassing." He's like, "Oh, okay, okay, I got one. I killed the neighbor." And then she's just like, "What?" And she's like, "Yep, I killed him."
You want to
He's
see the
like, "Oh
body?
yeah." And then she's just like, "No, I don't." And she goes, "Ah, well, anyway, so just so you know, I'm now possessed by the Justice Devil, and I really don't like all your bullies, so don't come to school tomorrow." And then she just walks away. And Yuko's like, "Well, that's a problem."
Uh oh. Yeah.
It's kind of incredible.
Yep. And it is like some of you are right. Don't come to school tomorrow, kind of thing. Which I never thought I'd actually see in any sort of media outside of America, honestly. So it's like, wow, I love it. Uh, it was funnier than it should have been, but in a dark way. Like it is seriously dark, and I think it's all the better for it because it is this is gonna sound weird. It is like the Chainsaw Man world is like super grim. Like it is ridiculously grim. A lot of people just kind of randomly die for seemingly no reason,
Yeah,
including the protagonist's mother. and it's starting to really kind of sort of like push at the seams of what their culture's like. Denji was an extreme outsider, an Omega, who just kind of like saw himself rise in the world, and then he kind of went, yeah, all right, but he never actually interacted with society or anything like that. You know,
Yeah, you're getting at something. I was having this discussion with siblings, and they were like, "No, I don't agree." But you're getting at the same thing. There was something very odd to me about seeing Denji in school, and not for the reason that Fujimoto intends. Like, there's the odd. Obviously, there's intentional oddness. It's supposed to be a contrast, right?
right.
But what
Denji
I
is an
mean
odd
is,
person even without his many traumas.
right? But there's even more than that. There's the oddness of the fact that there are even normal schools running. Like, the fact that Denji was living the life he lived, but also he could have just been going to school the whole time, just feels really weird to me. And I think it's what you said. Something about the way that Fujimoto has set up the society, the seams are starting to split a bit. Now, we're in nitpicky territory, by the way.
And I
Like,
mean it more in universe than outside of universe. Like in America, if there were like a real demon problem and someone was portraying it realistically, like it wouldn't be oh, that was a bomb. It wouldn't be described like this. It would be like, congratulations. Here's your complimentary gun, and every 5-year-old can plink a target at 10 meters because guns work on demons. It's stuff like that.
it's interesting, though, because, like, the way that demons work, don't they, like, wipe people's memories as well?
No.
I thought there was the whole thing that, like, World War One and World War Two and the whole history of the world actually happened, but people forgot about it.
So, no. Chainsaw Man eats concepts.
Oh, right, right. It's very weird,
So,
people.
the thing
It's
with,
weird.
with like Yoru, the war demon, is that some of her got eaten. Quite a bit of her. And she's like, well, crap. So her goal is to get Chainsaw Man to vomit up the nuclear demon, as in the nuclear bomb demon.
Right.
So some of the
There's
things,
also this thing going on with the fake Chainsaw Man that's going around.
yep, which might be like a demonic creation, something maybe. I don't know.
There are a few fan theories. One of the big fan theories is I'm thinking it's that it's the Chainsaw Man demon,
That's pretty funny.
like
I mean,
created by fear of Chainsaw Man.
I mean,
Now,
it
the
follows the
problem with this,
rules.
yeah, the problem with this is that if we accept it as possible, it does create a lot of really strange implications
Is
that
there
we would need to wonder about.
is there an Otto von Bismarck demon? People scared of the Iron Chancellor?
It's not so much that, it's like, okay, so is there like a demon hunter demon, and is there a demon hunter demon, and then how far down does it go? You
Right.
know, like, so I am not a fan of it's not so much I'm not a fan of it. I could see Fujimoto making it work and even using that sort of fractal concept for fun,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's what it is. Uh like, I don't think he's gonna do that. I wouldn't hate it if he did. I think it would be. I certainly think you can make stories out of it,
Yeah.
but like, I don't think that's what he's doing.
Yeah. That's a fair statement. Um, I don't really have anything to say
Now, I really don't know what he's doing with it though.
on that.
Some of the jokes in this section are really funny, like the fact where they're like she's having a conversation with the War Devil, like, okay, so I'll help you kill Chainsaw Man because like Chainsaw Man is only causing me problems anyway, and besides, I want you gone, and you're just way too much trouble, right? So the War Demon's like, okay, so what do you got? Then you need to sacrifice something important to you. And she's like, but there isn't anything important to me. And they go, and I don't want to sacrifice a good person. You go, okay, so like, how about a dog? Like, why don't you adopt a pet? And he goes, no, I'm not gonna kill a pet. To go, all right, all right. So what you need is something that is more important than a dog, but is less important than an actual human. And they have this incredible scene where they're watching Denji like pick up cigarettes off the ground, and they're going, "Oh man, see that kid? Uh, he's an even better. I look down on him, but he's a better person than I am. He's cleaning up litter." And then they go, "Wait a minute, what's he doing?" And then they watch as Denji like re-rolls the cigarettes and goes up to homeless people and starts selling it to them. And go, "Oh my god, he's a piece of crap. He's selling homeless people used cigarettes."
And
It's like, that's
pretending they're
terrible.
American smokes.
Yeah, and then they're like, "But that's not bad enough to die." And they go, "That's exactly who you need." It's like higher than a dog, lower than a person. And then she like goes up to Denji and goes, "Were you selling those people used cigarettes?" And he's like, "Hey, this is a business transaction." It's like, I'm just making money, like, lay off. I like the idea that nobody can believe that Denji is Chainsaw Man because he's such a loser.
Right. And it's like,
It's
but
just
it.
like, surely you're not Chainsaw Man. You're a piece of shit. Like, come on.
Come on now.
I also like the joke that nobody believes that Denji is Chainsaw Man because he straight up tells them, and their response is, "Oh, come on. No, Chainsaw Man wouldn't be stupid enough to tell people he's Chainsaw Man." It's like, that's ridiculous.
And then, but the war demon's like, yes, kill him. He said he's Chainsaw Man. He's perfect. It's like, the
Well,
only one.
then, I I actually really like the joke going on here that she's going off to kill Chainsaw Man, except it's not Chainsaw Man, it's the fake Chainsaw Man. But in order to
Right.
kill the fake Chainsaw Man, she has decided that she's going to kill Denji as a sacrifice, who is actually Chainsaw Man.
Right. There's a sort of like, what do
It's
I want?
pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Uh, you're right though that the world of Chainsaw Man is very dark. Like I said, we did the whole analysis of it. Like I would say that what makes Chainsaw Man superversive is that, and it is very direct about this. This is not really subtext so much as text. It is about the turn somebody turning into a human, if that makes sense, or coming into their own as a human. So there is a moment early in the series where he's talking to I think it was Aki, one of the other devil hunters, and they tell Denji like, "I don't like you. I don't like that your motivation is just to live a comfortable life. Like you're not going to survive out there. You need a better motivation than that." And Denji basically tells him in response, "I don't think you understand. I will do anything to live this life. This is so much better than anything I could have ever imagined. Like, like life that I am living right now, which is literally just like basic creature comforts, is so far and away above anything I've ever experienced before that I will do whatever it takes in order to continue it." So, literally, his motivations at this point of the story are as base and animalistic as they come. Like, what does he wants to do? He wants to touch a breast, right? So they are bestial, right?
Yes, which
And there's almost
we
a
can also all agree with. Fantastic motivation, absolutely. Like that's like the only reason I create art, Anthony. You have to understand. Wait,
so
are we alive?
you're right, but in a serious way too, which is the genius of Chainsaw Man, right? It is
Yeah,
both extremely pulpy and silly, but there's also a serious point being made, right? The serious point here is that there's even a naivete almost to his bestial nature. Like, he can't even conceive of going further than touching a breast. That's how limited his worldview is at this point, right?
yeah,
He wants something very base and animalistic, but he can't imagine doing more than just touching a breast. Going further than that is outside of his worldview, right?
right.
going higher than, I want to live in a nice apartment and eat decent food is beyond his worldview. And as the story goes on and he gets to know people and he forms relationships, he slowly comes to realize the reason for fighting beyond that bestial nature until by the end of part 1 of the series, he says as part of his motivation that he likes being Chainsaw Man. In other words, he likes being a hero, right?
Yep.
He likes being a person who saves other people from demons. That even comes up in a conversation he has with what's her name? Yuki, the new girl.
Yeah.
In the conversation he has with Yuki, when she criticizes him for only saving women, his response is he has a pure heart. Now, that's a joke, right? Like,
Right.
clearly he's only saving women because he's. But it also says that on some level, it matters to him to be seen as somebody with a pure heart, right?
Right.
That is a level of motivation that is higher than Denji would have had at the beginning of the series. At the beginning of the series, he didn't care how other people saw him. Now he wants to be a hero. He
Yep.
wants to be seen as a hero.
For the groupies
Now,
mostly, but still.
right, but you're absolutely correct. But it's still like he now is starting to see himself as part of society
Yep.
and seeing a value in society and a value in heroism. And you've mentioned this before, like on one hand, it's a very it's still a very base motivation. And that's what we're at. The story is telling us straight up he's above a dog, which is a step up from where he was at the start of the series, but he's still below a human. But on the other hand, he's still doing a good thing, right?
Yeah.
He's still saving people. So it's really good stuff. Like, it is very, very cleverly written. That's my spiel on Chainsaw Man. Going back to the comments, by the way, Cigar Chomping Penguin says he would have interpreted saying Yu Yu is worse than Hunter x Hunter as smack talk. That and DBZ were his favorites growing up. Well, maybe it will help if I say that I like Yu Yu Hakusho more than Hunter x Hunter. Megabuster Shepherd says, now I want to watch Chainsaw Man. You really should. It's great.
Yep.
Enjoy it.
It is the show of the season. Like some things like Spy X Family. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But also like it is like the flagship show for the season, which I don't think everyone like. These things used to matter a lot more, but you know, yeah, flagship show, fantastic, 10 out of 10, uh, worth it. Not a waste of your time, not a waste of existence. Mm. So, just to go through some of the stuff is Akane Banshee still going pretty good. It's kind of like a battle manga for Rakugo, which ever since the Rakugo show came on has been, I don't know, not quite, still hasn't quite gotten to me or anything quite yet, but I enjoy it for its character drama and motivation. Um, there's also what's the show's what's its name? Glinka and Gluna Fairy Tale. It's very good. Uh, I don't know how well it's doing in Japan. Like, whenever we stuff, we don't really have access to like Japanese sources, so we just kind of hope that it's pretty good. But I'm enjoying it. I don't consider it time wasted like I did for Tokyo Demon Bride story. Um, okay, I'll do that next time. How do I want to? Let me finish up what I'm doing here. Let's see here. Cypher Academy is alright, but very Japanese. The Ichinose family's deadly sins has some interesting reveals to it, and is genuinely something that's interesting. I just don't know if it's got any like lasting potential to it because there's like 7 mystery boxes and all of them are like the families, like what's in the family's rooms, like what motivates them. Like the main guy was bullied, and the second he has an opportunity to get back at his bullies, he starts like acting like he's in the like um, was it turning? He turns the tables on them essentially, and it's interesting, but it's also kind of like I don't know how I want to put it, but like it kind of has its own thing going for it that I think is much more interesting than people give it credit. Then we have Ichigoki's Under Control. It looks like a gag manga that is honestly like it's lowbrow. It's lowbrow gag. Like he has an anal rocket, and he goes, "This is a craptastic mode of travel." Because he died being beaten to death by a gorilla, and his mad scientist girlfriend, who accidentally shrunk herself, rebuilt him. Now, the reason why he was beaten to death by a gorilla is because the mad scientist girlfriend had shrunk herself and needed the testicles from 3 very vicious and angry animals to grow herself back again. Uh, which is its own set of WTF sort of things. Uh, but it's worth it. I don't know. It was pretty funny. Like I cracked a few smiles, but I don't think it's got. It doesn't feel like it's staying power. Like I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is.
Interesting, because I was going to say, I was planning on saying at one point during the stream that, by the way, Fiona Wolf, you spelled it right the first time. Fairy Tail, Tail. But anyway, uh, but I was going to say at one point during the stream that there haven't been as many really great comedies, and I thought about it. I'm like, actually, Spy Family is a comedy. Uh, but I was thinking like Konosuba type comedies where
Yeah.
like the main appeal was the fact that they were funny. Yeah. Like
Right.
Spy Family has other things going for it besides the comedy. You could enjoy it on a very legitimate level. You know,
Yep.
like there's a story going on. Konosuba, I am of the opinion that like it is by design, it is without the comedy, there's not much there. You know,
Yeah.
and that's okay because Konosuba is hilarious. And what I was going to say is, I do think that I would like to see like it's been a while since there's been a comedy as good as Konosuba. Probably since Konosuba.
Yeah. Uh. Yeah. Like it's the thing with Konosuba is that it was like just a 10 out of 10. They knew what they were going for, and the thing is that those are rare. Those are just rare. Like nothing to them. As sad as it is. Um.
The Konosuba movies in theaters, and you know what? It was an absolute blast. The whole theater was like absolutely dying at every joke. It was great.
Yep. Uh. Finish things off. I don't really see anything else that's that's worth talking about. Hopefully, I don't think Ichigoki will last. Cypher Academy, I think that might have a bit to it, depending on how clever they maintain themselves. Ichinose Family, I could see it dying out pretty soon, just because
A little
it's
weirded out by I'm still a little weirded out by the main character of Cypher Academy, and I don't really get what they're going for with that. It's gonna be pretty hard for me to overcome that. With that said, maybe Japan can,
yep,
so maybe it'll last.
yep. Akane Banche is still going strong. Banashi is still going strong. Ginka and Gluna. I don't really like the fact that Ginka and Gluna has dropped to like the end of the tier, but we'll see. It's pretty inventive, pretty good magic, pretty good character designs, pretty fantastic overall. Tokyo Demon Bride story. I don't like it, and I'm surprised it got to 13 chapters, where some of these just don't last that long. So maybe it's the last chapter. Maybe I'll get lucky. Uh, show me is. Don't you dare start. No, new chapter coming in 7 days. Yeah. One Piece is still pretty good though. My Hero Academia is doing pretty good, and the twist is amazing. Anthony, should I spoil the twist for you?
My Hero Academia.
A twist.
I don't remember a twist, so go ahead and spoil it.
That one multiplication man is back.
Oh wait, Twice is alive?
I think Toga just like uh, completely
When was
unlocked.
this mentioned? I just finished the last chapter.
Oh yeah, did you? Did you really
I
finish the
thought I
last
did.
chapter? Did you really finish the last chapter? Did you?
Is it
Did?
on like the last page?
Yeah.
Oh, that. Oh yeah, that's Twice. What the hell?
Oh ho oh ho 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 ho.
I am
Tiki
so
solo.
confused.
Ho ho ho.
Why? How is? Although I'm also slightly annoyed because of holy crap, Horikoshi really can't kill anyone. Uh,
It's true.
like I'm still mad that Gran Torino is alive.
Yeah, and it's yeah. No, there's some stuff to that, but we're pretty done. It's been 2 hours. Uh, stuff like that. Some comments. Fiona Wolf says, "I just wish I could find this type of space opera I want with the U.S. side, a long-running hopeful. Because what's the point? Eurocomic, Trigon, Empire, Manga, Eden Zero, Overmind via John Del Raz. It's hard enough to find the optimism level of a Babylon 5, let alone an old-style pulp like Lensman. Yeah,
Fiona Wolf, Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
yeah, and it's honestly though, I do hunger for new IP. There hasn't been any good space opera recently, um, and
John C. Wright is coming to remedy that.
yeah, and I've listened to the first book. It's pretty good, but it's pulpy and stuff like that. But it's like I don't know, like uh, like the stuff just kind of feels like space Vietnam forever, and I'm not into that. Like there's been almost no fleet tactics novels, except for like super ships or something, and I just don't give a crap about super ships. I don't care that you got this cool ship. Like I've read novels and then put them down the second when it's just a cool ship, and then they leave the cool ship. I don't know why they left the cool ship. The cool ship crashes or something stupid like that. They leave it, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna do this now. What was the point of the cool ship? Just have them on the planet. I don't know. Like there was a pretty decent one that was about like an admiral trying to find Earth in his cool ship, and that was pretty okay. But then like he started having sex with the pirate captain, and like his first officer was also into it, and like it's not
That
that she was
description,
not that she was into it. Like she wanted the captain for himself, but it was like, yeah, I'm just gonna hop into his shower and he'll be down. And then the pirate captain's already in the shower, and she's like, oh, nope, nope, dresses her again, tosses her out, and it's like, this is kind of like it's one of those things where sometimes I read a sex scene or something like that, and it's like, this is written by a man. This is totally written by a man. I throw girls out of my bathrooms every week in this, and they do not act anything like this. And I don't even mean this in like a feminist way. I mean it's like you don't know how these dynamics work kind of way. And women do the same on the opposite end, but I just don't have any good examples that fit with this right now. Still, uh, Space 1999, Battleship Yamato. I don't know. I just don't know why space opera, and especially fleet action space opera, has just been such a dry and dreary desert. Maybe there'll be an anime or something soon. I don't know. I want to thank you all for joining us. Next week, we will talk about something else. Do I know what? No. No. Sorry, guys. I don't know what will happen next week. But we will be doing something probably. Talk to you later.
The odds are high.